Hello everyone, I'm Matthew and welcome to another Custom Commander Deck Tech. Jason and Andrew and I have often discussed our frustration with legendary creatures that WotC specifically designs for Commander, because they are often both enabler and payoff at the same time. We think it's far more interesting to design commanders that require you to put in a little effort while building a deck. The commander that I designed is Khorium, the Awakened. Khorium costs 1 white blue for a 3/4 legendary artifact creature construct with Vigilance. It also has 1 and a blue and tap to untap target artifact and sacrifice 2 artifacts. Target artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power and toughness 5/5. Notice this doesn't end at the end of turn. There are some options for artifact commanders out there, but I felt that the selection was a little lacking, especially in blue-white, and the newer Rebek/Glacian partner commanders don't seem that interesting to me. Khorium allows you to combo with both mana rocks that it can untap and token makers that you can sacrifice to animate your Skyclave relics into indestructible 5/5s. Let's start with what makes this deck so cool. It's a toolbox style deck, where we have several different tutor effects such as Reshape and Whir of Invention to grab whatever we need in any situation. There's also Kuldotha Forge Master, Arkham Dagson, and Tezzeret the Secret. Enlightened Tutor doesn't put them on the battlefield, but it's a cheap instant that will ensure our next draw is perfect. We also have some more specialized effects, like Trinket Mage that can grab us some mana rocks, artifact lands, or even a walking ballista if we need. And Scrapyard Recombiner will give us several creatures to tutor up as well. I'm sure you'll notice that some of these effects require you to sacrifice other artifacts to tutor up your new ones, so we'll want to make sure that we have ways to get back our old friends from the graveyard. We have 2 single-use spells with Dance of the Manse and Faith's Reward in here, as well as Emry, Lurker of the Loch, and Scrap Trawler for repeatable artifact recovery. Now that we can get whatever we want, whenever we want, and make sure that it doesn't die forever, let's talk about exactly what we're going to find. For offense, we have our big finishers like Blightsteel Colossus, Metalwork Colossus, Murr Battlesphere, and Sharding Sphinx, the latter 2 of which will double as sacrifice fodder for our commander. We also have card advantage engines like Mystic Forge and Skullclamp to make sure that our hand is never empty. Too many cards to play? Make them cheaper with Ethereum Sculptor. Opponent's creatures too big? Make yours bigger with Forsaken Monument. Graveyard Shenanigans got you down? Ruin their day with a Relic of Progenitus. And so much more. Darksteel Forge means no worrying about Damnation or Day of Judgment. Lightning Greaves is a must-have where your commander looks just this killable. Shimmermer, Hangerback Walker, Master Transmuter, Sword of the Meek for sack fodder, Trading Post for everything. Walking Ballista, Phyrexian Metamorph, and Torrential Gearhook are all here for you to make sure that the robots do take over the world. Moving on, we have a half-standard, half-spicy removal package for this deck. The standard is Swords to Plowshares, Fierce Guardianship, Generous Gift, but the spicy, Dispatch, is basically a path to exile without the downside. Dispeller's Capsule is a disenchant that you can tutor up and recur with any number of our aforementioned cards. Spine of Ishsa is quite expensive for a removal spell, but when you can cheat it out with Arkham and then sack it on your next turn to get something else, you're getting rid of any 2 permanents. Then you bring it back with Faith's Reward, and you've just opened a gateway to many abilities some would consider unnatural. Martyr's Bond is a bit of a different one, but with our commander's ability to sacrifice artifacts, many of which will be creature tokens, we'll be able to easily clear the opponent's board of mana rocks or creatures. And speaking of clearing the board, we only have 4 different board wipes available to us, but 3 of them are artifacts, which allows us to tutor them up if need be. Cataclysmic Gearhook isn't a complete board wipe, but it'll clean it up and can even be tutored up by our Scrapyard Recombiner. Oblivion Stone is nice if you really need to make sure that you destroy everything that isn't a land. But if your opponents don't have any crucial artifacts, you're probably going to want to go get Scourglass instead, allowing you to keep your commander and several of your other vital cards alive. And finally, of course, we have a Cyclonic Rift, because it's just too good not to put in. All great commander decks have some way of drawing cards to make sure that you don't fall behind your opponents, and this deck is one of the greatest. We already talked about Skullclamp and Mystic Forge as tutorable draw engines, but we also have Padim, Console of Innovation, who doubles as a way to protect our artifacts. Sai, Master Thopterist, and Tezzeret, Artifice Master, both double as token generators and card draw engines. There's also Shimmer Dragon and Videlkin Archmage for even more repeatable draw, with One with the Machine and Thirst for Knowledge as excellent one-time draw spells. We want to ensure that we have mana to cast all these cards we're drawing though, so let's talk about our mana rocks and other mana sources. First off, because our commander allows us to untap artifacts somewhat cheaply, we're able to use mana rocks like Mana Vault and Grim Monolith that don't untap normally. In addition, we have Everflowing Chalice, Mana Crypt, Soul Ring, stupid card is a very stupid deck, Skyclave Relic, because our commander will turn them into indestructible 5/5s. These next ones aren't rocks, but they'll still get the job done. Mycosynth Wellspring and Solemn Simulacrum are perfect for sack fodder, and Smothering Tithe, Grand Architect, and Urza, Lord High Artificer, are all giving us tons of mana, with potential extra benefits on the side. The last and lonely card I have before we get to the lands is a Teferi's Protection. When so many of our vital mana sources and creatures are artifacts, we want to make sure that a Vandalblast or Stray Creeping Corrosion doesn't totally destroy us. We've got the fairly standard land package here with almost every blue-eyed duel that isn't terrible. Flooded Strand, Glacial Fortress, Hallowed Fountain, Irrigated Farmland, Mystic Gate, Seer of Clouds, Temple of Enlightenment, Prairie Stream, Port Town, Nimbus Maze, Azorius Chancery, Celestial Colonnade, as well as some fairly standard lands such as Command Tower, Command Beacon, utility lands like Field of Ruin, Myriad Landscape, Arcane Lighthouse, Arch of Araska, some cycling lands with Lonely Sandbar and Secluded Steppe, Ancient Tomb to round out the extra mana. Being a two-color deck, we can have quite a few utility lands. So in addition to some of the previous ones, we also get Academy Ruins for recursion, Ancient Den, Darksteel Citadel, and Seat of the Synod to help with artifact synergies, Inventor's Fair to add yet another tutor to our deck, Minamo, School at Water's Edge to cheaply untap our commander for even more untap shenanigans, and finally a Reliquary Tower, just in case we cast one with the machine while our Blightsteel Colossus is out. And that's it, a commander deck that will truly make your opponents go, "He's tutoring again?" Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and supporting our channel. If you liked this video or thought I could have built this deck completely differently, or better in some way, I doubt it, please let us know in the comments below. And be sure to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in the future.